So when do I start to lose weight or when do I start to see weight loss? Are questions I see get asked a lot online. I think they're pretty good questions, especially for people just starting to microdose because they don't want to waste their meds. So in this video, I'll answer those questions by going over how I track my weight loss progress and when I need to make changes to my dose. Also, this video isn't just for people starting, it's also for those who want to make sure they continue to lose weight. Okay, first you need to make sure your dose is actually working for you, especially when it comes to microdosing because our dose is so small. So how do we know our dose is working? One of the main benefits of GLP-1s is appetite suppression, and the way I like to describe it is getting full faster, staying full longer, and feeling less hunger and cravings. So for getting full faster, before I microdosed, I would get full after I finish a plate of food. Now I get full like halfway through. So that's getting full faster. For staying full longer, before microdosing, I would be full for like maybe, let's say 2 hours after I eat a meal. Now I'm full for like 4 or more hours. And then less hunger and cravings. So before microdosing, I would feel pretty high levels of hunger and I would crave, let's say, I don't know, cookies. Now after microdosing, the hunger is less intense and I can still sometimes crave cookies, but I don't really act on it. It's more like I could eat them, but I'll be okay if I don't have them. So if you're feeling any of these, then it's a good chance that your meds are working. Also, if you're getting any common side effects like nausea, bloat, or constipation, then it's also probably working, just not in the ways that we want. Now, the thing with microdosing and GLP-1s in general is that everyone responds differently to the meds, especially when it comes to dose. Some people might not feel a microdose and have to increase it, but that's fine because it's more important to find the right dose for you and gives you the things you want, regardless if it's a microdose or not. Like a lot of people start to microdose because they're afraid of side effects, but sometimes even being at standard doses, they might not get any. So it works out. Okay, so what do you do if it isn't working? So for me, if I don't have any appetite suppression and any side effects, then there's a few things I do to hopefully make sure my GLP-1 works. These things would be the 4-shot rule, increasing your dose, and maybe switching to a different GLP-1. Let's start with the 4-shot rule. This mostly applies to people just starting and those who increase their dose or frequency. So the 4-shot rule isn't really a rule, it's just what I call it, but I'll explain it. GLP-1s build up in our system, and the amount we take isn't always what's in our body. So for example, if we look at my 4 first shots, when I took my first shot, it was 0.25 milligrams of tirzepatide, and my second shot was also 0.25 milligrams. But it's higher than the first shot because there's more in my body. And then the same thing happened with shots 3 and 4. So you can see it goes up over time, but they're all the same dose, 0.25 milligrams. It usually levels out and stays the same after the 4th shot if you keep taking the same dose and frequency. But yeah, now this whole buildup matters because you might not feel anything in the first 2 shots, for example, but you might feel something on shots 3 and 4 because there's more in our system. Sometimes people might want to increase their dose too soon just to feel something, and they might get more side effects because of it, but it usually just depends. The thing about microdosing is that the dose is so small, and unless you're like really sensitive to the meds, you probably won't feel much side effects. Okay, next is increased dose. So after the 4-shot rule and you don't feel any benefits or side effects, you can speak to your doctor or provider about increasing your dose. Now, how much do you increase it by? It depends on what your doctor or provider thinks is right. For me, if I didn't feel it, I would either increase it by the lowest increment I could if I'm concerned about side effects, or increase by higher increments just to hopefully feel something. And then if it's too much, I can just reduce it until I find the right dose for me. There's no wrong answer. It's just preference and whatever your doctor and provider gives you. Okay, sometimes the GLP-1 itself doesn't work. Some people on semaglutide, for example, respond better when they switch to tirzepatide and vice versa. And by respond, I mean both in terms of the benefits and side effects. Let's say you don't get any appetite suppression on semaglutide, but you get side effects, so the meds are working. Then switching to tirzepatide, if that's an option for you, might give you the appetite suppression and less side effects. This is just the unfortunate thing about GLP-1s right now is that everyone just responds differently to them and there's no one-size-fits-all answer. Okay, how do you know when to switch to a new GLP-1? I have no personal experience with this, but I would say if you get to above standard doses and you still don't feel any appetite suppression or side effects, it probably isn't working, and a switch in GLP-1 might be the answer. Like the standard dose for tirzepatide, I think is 2.5 milligrams, and I think the current max is 15 milligrams. So if you're taking like 10 milligrams or more and you still don't get anything out of it, then it just doesn't work, and maybe semaglutide might be better. You can obviously switch before you get to those high doses. I'm just throwing out numbers there to give you an idea. Again, I don't really have experience with this, so take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. Now let's assume you start to feel the GLP-1s working, like you're getting some appetite suppression. When do you start to lose weight, or when do you start to see your weight loss? To know if we're losing weight, we need to track it. And there are two ways I like to track weight loss. It's one, a bathroom scale and weight tracking app, and two, it's visually. Let's start with the scale. Now, if I'm using a bathroom scale and tracking it with a weight tracking app, and it's going down over the course of months and weeks, then I'm losing weight. I might not see it visually, but I'm losing. Like for me, this was about, I think like 10 to 12 pounds. I didn't notice a visual difference, but I obviously lost weight because the number on the scale has been going down for like 2 to 3 months at this point. If it wasn't going down, then that's a plateau. I define plateaus as 2 or more weeks of no weight loss. Some people like using 4, but if I'm consistently weighing myself frequently, as in almost every day, I can see when weight loss is slowing down and just speed it up to prevent plateaus. I do have a video on how I speed up my weight loss and prevent plateaus. But anyways, for weight tracking apps, I like to use Shotzi because it's GLP-1 related. Other ones would be MyFitnessPal or MacroFactor. Really anything works. So up to you. All right, let's move on to the second way I track my weight loss, which is visually. This one is hard to do because it's highly subjective and it takes time compared to a scale number, which you can just tell within days to weeks. So like I said, my scale weight was going down pretty much the whole time I've been losing, like 6 months now. But it wasn't until like month 5 and 20 pounds down, I noticed a visual difference. But I'm sure some people notice much sooner than me and with less weight loss. When people usually see a difference, depends on their starting point. Like if someone has a lot of weight to lose, as in they're overweight, then going by visual difference can be hard, and I'd rather focus on scale number instead, or non-scale victories, which I'll touch on later. Now, if you're already at a healthy weight and want to lose weight for vanity reasons like me, I feel like using only the bathroom scale and the scale number isn't enough, and I tend to lean more towards how I look and physically feel. So as I get leaner than I already am, it takes more effort for me to lose weight, and the scale can do some like funny fluctuation things. Like I'll be heavier on the scale one day but look leaner, and another day I'll be at my lowest scale weight but look like I'm bloated. Yeah, things sometimes get weird even though I know I'm making progress. But I'll say this, when it comes to losing weight for vanity, I could care less about the scale weight as long as I look how I want and I'm healthy. Like if I take it to the hypothetical extreme, this scale can say I'm like 600 pounds, but if I have my dream body and the doctor says I'm perfectly healthy, I don't care what the scale says. I used to get so tied to a specific weight number that I just like forget to look at other things, like how I actually look in the mirror. Now, this doesn't mean I don't use the scale. It's that I use both the scale and visuals, but I rely on the latter more when I'm leaner. That's why I don't have a specific weight goal in mind, but more so a weight goal range, because I don't really know how I'll look at a certain weight, and even if I'll like it. Okay, if you want some practical advice to see a visual difference, then try taking some progress pictures like every month and make comparisons. It's easier to see progress like that instead of just like eyeballing it in the mirror every day like what I do. I wish I had more progress pictures of myself, but I just forget to take them. I think I got like one somewhat recent progress picture, but I wish I took more. Okay, non-scale victories are another way to measure progress that doesn't necessarily involve the scale or a scale number. This is great, especially if for whatever reason you don't like using the scale or you just don't want to look at yourself for visual progress. Like for me, a few years ago, I was actually grossed out by how I looked, so I avoided looking at myself in the mirror without clothes on until I knew I lost some weight. Or another time where I got scale anxiety for like 6 months, I think. Which was affecting me mentally, so I had to stop weighing myself. And both times when those happened, I relied on non-scale victories to measure my progress. Mainly how my clothes were fitting, like if they got more loose. And here are some examples of non-scale victories. So again, things like clothes fitting better or more looser, getting compliments from others, feeling more confident in your body, feeling physically better. There's a ton of non-scale victories, so you can just determine what's a non-scale victory for you. All right, that's the video. Hope this helped you tell you whether or not you're losing weight. Thanks for watching. Bye.